Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chief here, the professional problem solver. Coming to you for another coaching call. Today, we're going to talk about how to buy like a pro, how to buy the customer's trade. Can everyone hear me okay? Just say yes in the chat just to make sure everybody is present. I just want to make sure our connection is good. See, very good, very good. More people are joining us. And thank you, Cassidy. Great job. Great job. Keep that content coming. Miss Mota, thank you so much, Kayleen. So today we're going to talk about, just like I mentioned, how to buy like a pro, and specifically, what is the best way to execute the silent walkaround. Silent walkaround. So the first thing I want to start with is buying the customer's car is one of the most common things salespeople and sales managers mess up. And it starts with the fact that buyers are emotionally attached to their cars, just like you and I are. So the first thing we need to get out of the way is the professional lingo. The word trade belongs in the conversations between us and our team, between the office, the management team, the porters, the people who work at the dealership. The word trade is not to be used in front of the client, especially in the beginning stages. Once when the deal is done or during the negotiations or the closing, it's okay, but not the first thing that comes out of your mouth after you greet the customer. Stop doing that. Please stop asking people, are you trading something in? Are you trading something in? Because when you do that, it's not that it's a bad question. It's not that it's a question that is not relevant for what you do. It's a question that lowers your probability to get the opportunity to learn about their current state by minimum 50%. So if I ask, are you trading something in today, as one of my first questions, that means there's a 50% chance the buyer would say no. And now I don't have the ability or the capacity to learn anything about this car, because next time I bring up the car, they would say, as I mentioned earlier, this car is not relevant. I'm not trading the car in. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about what you have. And that's how you basically hurt yourself of lack of leverage. That's how you lose your leverage, because all of the answers, all of the pains, all of the problems are in that car. So if I don't know what the problems are, I can't solve them. If I don't know the pain it's causing, I don't realize the value I'm delivering. And I can't deliver invisible value if I don't understand the pain that's going on. If I don't understand how much they're spending on this car right now, all together with their payment, with their insurance, with their expenses, with their repairs and maintenance, then I wouldn't be able to compare my product and drive way more value for the same cost. So it's critical for me to learn about their car. And that's why I never ask the question, are you trading something in? That's the first reason why. The second reason why is because we need to buy cars. We need to buy cars. And it's the cheapest place to buy them from when you greet a customer. When the buyer brings the car, a lot of times they prepare it for trading, they prepare it for business. So it's the best place to buy it. Sometimes we don't have to even do a lot of reconditioning, but we do it anyways. So the best place, the cheapest place to buy it is when the buyer drives it to the dealership. We don't have to go buy it from Pennsylvania, deliver it for $1,000. We don't have to buy it from an auction. We don't have to spend money on the transportation. We inspect the car like we're buying it for our inventory every single time. And the best and the easiest way to get paid is also by buying the vehicle. Another part about this is that you get paid on the trade, which means the lower the amount you give for their vehicle, the more you keep in your pocket. So you need a strategy. You can't just go out there and say, are you trading something in? The third reason why, the word trade suggests that we are going to pay the least amount, which is wholesale. We're buying the car for wholesale from the customer, and the customer doesn't need to be reminded of that. So the word trade, to the universal understanding of people, means I'm going to get wholesale money for my car. Now, that's not different in any other business. If you go and you sell your cell phone to a cell phone store, they're going to give you peanuts comparing to what you can sell the cell phone on eBay. Now, when you sell the cell phone on eBay, there are risks. It might be returned when the buyer doesn't like it, or there's some type of flaw or defect. They will return it, and you will have to issue a refund. The same thing is possible with used cars. So when buyers have this significant contrast between how much you're giving them comparing to how much they can sell it for, it's the difference between wholesale and retail price. So they need to be educated politely about that. And it's not going to happen by calling it a trade. So the first thing I want to share with you is respect their asset. Never ask the question, are you trading something in? Because number one, it's our responsibility to buy the car because we want to add vehicles to the inventory. Number two, we don't want them to associate their vehicle that they're emotionally attached to with wholesale, with getting less value, less money for the value. And again, they are seeing this vehicle that they have as their asset, whether they owe more than what the car it's worth, it's their asset. So you have to respect their asset. The easiest and the most universal, risk-free way to respect their asset is by referring to it by year, make, and model. This 2014 Dodge Durango, I like this 2014 Dodge Durango Sport, Dodge Durango RT. So refer to it as a professional salesperson, as a professional car salesperson. Use the year, make, and model. When you say 1994 Dodge Durango, I mean, it's obvious that the vehicle is not going to be worth that much, right? So just using the year, make, model, and miles will devalue the trade as much as you need it to. So respect their asset. Don't ask if you're trading something in because you're going to lose the opportunity to understand their current situation, understand the pain. You're going to lose the leverage. You're going to use the opportunity to build invisible value by addressing the pain and the day-to-day improvement with your vehicle. You're going to lose the opportunity to compare an obviously better product for similar cost. So do not ask that question unless you want to destroy your first impression and you want to get the buyer on point to start paying attention. Now, people will not always bring the nicest cars. A lot of the times their vehicles are not going to be good looking. They're not going to be pleasant. So good for us. That's how much more invisible value we can bring. So when somebody's bringing a car that looks kind of rough, we need to get excited because the contrast between the whatever they get and whatever they drive is massive. Now, if somebody brings a car that looks like it's brand new, they obviously have some type of other concern, and it's more of a want than a need, but they're just as emotionally attached to their car as the other people. And we need to respect their asset. So it's their baby, never insult it by calling it a trade. Number two, silence is power. A lot of people will do the silent walk around in the beginning stages. Now, this is huge mistake. Psychologically, for your presentation as a salesperson, as a leader, to set the expectations is a massive mistake. We are going to focus on their vehicle. Yes, absolutely. But we're building interest in their car versus breaking it down and devaluing the car right off the bat. We don't want to do that because that will turn off the buyer. We do not want to perform silent walk around as a second step of the process. As a second step of the process, we want to build interest in the car, learn everything about how much they're spending, how much is their insurance, learn everything about the problem, and use that data for leverage. We're going to perform the silent walk around after we sold them on the new car, after they made the spiritual decision to leave with the new car, because that gives us more leverage, more power, and we'll be able to lower the value of their car easier, faster, if we do a silent walk around after the test drive, after the trial close, after the verbal commitment that they're living with the new car. That's the best time to now perform the silent walk around. So the biggest difference right now, based on what you're doing at the store and what I'm sharing with you, is that you're asking as one of your first qualifying questions, are you trading something in? Bad. Don't do it anymore. Build interest in the car instead. What are you driving? Wow, somebody in my network is really interested in this car. My family, somebody in my family really wants this car. Build interest in their car so you can get the data, so you can find out what the car actually does for the buyer. How does it create turmoil and pain for them, and learn every detail about the car. Now, if you say, are you trading something in? You're not going to get that opportunity. Simple as that. So, silent walk around is performed at the end once when you have presented your vehicle, they have test driven it, you've demonstrated the best parts about your car, they fell in love with it, and just before you show the numbers, you invite the buyer to show you something about the car that you didn't notice in the beginning while you're building interest in the car. And as you're walking around, as you're walking out of the dealership, the buyer will start devaluing the trade and will start speaking negatively about the trade after they just fell in love with the vehicle you presented. So that's number one, number two, and number three. We are buying wholesale, not retail. Use the analogies I just gave you with the cell phones and with everything else, with clothes. You can buy Versace, Armani, whatever clothes you want to buy. Go to the thrift store and see how much they give it to you. They're not going to give you much for it. They're not going to give you face value. They're not going to give you 50%. They're not going to give you 30%. So every business operates this way. When you go and trade the same product to the place who sells it, they're not going to give you top dollar for it because they're buying wholesale. They have access to wholesale prices for the product. Amazing too is vAuto, when you're actually able to show the buyer the abundance of vehicles from their make, year, and model and mileage and how much you can purchase them for. So if I show you that I can buy vehicles like yours $5,000 less than what you're asking for, on paper, universal third-party information, then that would help you with leverage. So wholesale versus retail. Educate the buyer politely that you must resell, which means you must recondition and you must warranty your product. They don't have to warranty the product when they sell it to the dealership. They can sell it as is. We buy it, we give them real money for it. But when we find out later on, when they're long gone, that the transmission is bad, we don't go back to the buyer and ask them for $5,000 to repair the transmission. If they buy the car from us, different story. So use that as the main argument while you're offering wholesale for that price. The the lack of reciprocity in this relationship. So I'm going to repeat it because it's a very pivotal point, very important point, and it's probably something you're not doing right now. When the buyer sells the car to the dealership at a wholesale price, they have the privilege not to warranty the car. We don't have that privilege. The state requires us to warranty the car for at least 30 days or 3 days, whatever the law is in your state. I think in Illinois, it's 30 days or 3,000 miles. So any dealer, used car dealer, new car dealer, franchise dealer, any car dealer must give 30 days warranty in 3,000 miles. It's usually not in writing, but it's a state law. So with that being said, use that lack of reciprocity to open the mind to the buyer of why this is happening. Anchor to market reality. Numbers come from the market, not from your opinion. So use what I call anchor to market. You could be really, really, really interested in a car. This happened to me. A gentleman brought in one day a Jaguar JX300, which was super rare car. It's one of those long, very powerful Jaguars from the 90s, from early 90s, 93, I think it was. The most luxurious car I've ever, well, I shouldn't say that, but at that time, it was very, very impressive. Hand stitched seats, like it was soft touch everywhere, super quiet, super luxurious car. We offered the buyer $500. Now, to me, this car was worth at least 10,000. I would have paid $10,000 for this car right away. And we offered him $500 because they had some issues that I wasn't aware of, and they were really hard to repair in the United States, and they were not very desirable. So the wholesale price for this vehicle was $300 or $500, something like that. The buyer got really, really offended. He spent over $100,000 for this car just 5 years ago or 6 years ago. No, it was more, like 10 years ago. And that was the situation. So we had this agreement, and then we used V-Auto, we used other appraisers to show the buyer that the vehicle is worth less than $1,000 to everyone else. He could maybe sell it to a collector. He can maybe sell it abroad for more. But eventually the buyer agreed because of the third-party data. So use third-party data. Use what the market is doing right now, because no one can argue with that. You know, girls lie, boys lie, numbers don't lie. So let's come up with the process on how to perform a proper walk around. The first thing we're going to do is we're not going to ask for, are you trading the car in? We're going to get the keys to the car by building massive interest in their car. The more personal interest we build, the more powerful it is. So if we like the car for ourselves, the more the buyer is going to go with that flow. If we like the car for somebody else, if we like the car for our inventory, which is always a safe choice, we like this vehicle for our inventory, then we can also say that to build powerful interest in the car. What we pay the buyer for the trade also depends on how fast we can turn these vehicles around. You could sometimes get a 2005 BMW M5 with 3,000 miles on it. And just because it's a pristine classic car, it doesn't mean that it's worth to a retail franchise store what the value of the car is. To the retail franchise store, it's worth $1,000. Here's why. Because it's 20 years old. Because we would have to sell it for $15,000, $20,000, and we would have to expect a buyer to bring that amount cash because we cannot finance the vehicle. There's liability. We can't offer warranty for the car. So now that's liability to the dealer. If somebody buys the car for $20,000, something happens to it, Then they come back to us and we have issues. So we have to take the minimum amount of risk on that car, and that's why we're paying $1,000 for it. In case all these issues, we're still going to sell it for 20, but in case all these issues arrive, we can face those issues because our commitment was not so big. If we spend $19,000 on the car and the buyer gets what they want and we sell it and there is a $6,000 issue later, guess what happens? We lose money. So pristine car could cost $500,000 to the dealer because of our business model, not because we don't want to pay as much as what the car is worth. I hope you guys realize that part. So when we greet the buyer, when we learn everything about their car, we want to arrive at the keys. We want the buyer to share the keys with us so we can have it professionally appraised. And we also want to check things out. And the way we would get the keys, we would get the buyer to release the keys is by building interest in the car. Try it. It's easier, it's faster, and it's much more powerful. Then we go through our normal sales process. We go through our fact finding, we go through our presentation, demonstration of the new car after we learn everything about their current car, after we learn about their pain points, and towards the end, after we come back from a test drive, we are going to have a seat and perform the silent walk around. Here's my favorite way of doing it. I would fold a piece of paper in half and I would ask my buyer, after I built interest in the car earlier, if they could show me their vehicle one more time. As they're walking outside, they would start devaluing the car. And then I want to start from the front. I want to look at the front bumper. I want to look at the front grille. I want to look at the front hood. The front hood always has chips. The front bumper always has chips. I just want to go with my finger to see how deep those chips are, but I'm not going to mention one word. I'm not even going to hum. I'm going to be completely silent. Silence is power, right? So I'm going to be completely silent. I'll take a look at the tires on the passenger side. I usually would bring like a quarter. I don't even know, what the tread is supposed to be. I'm just trying with the quarter, and I will not make any comments. Almost every rim has curb signs, so I want to now touch those. Every single imperfection, every dent, every scratch, I want to go over with my fingers, and sometimes I would like circle them for my used car manager to see, but I wouldn't say a word. Guess who's talking? My client is talking. My buyer is talking. They're explaining everything that I touch. They're having excuses for it. Sometimes they're taking responsibility for it. And when they do that, what happens internally is they change their perception about what they were willing to ask, what they meant to ask, what they wanted to ask for the car. It goes down in their own mind. So I don't have to fight them. I don't have to debate with them. I don't have to negotiate with them. They just realize that the vehicle they just experienced on a test drive is million miles away from the vehicle they just experienced coming to the dealership. So they devalue the vehicle on their own. I don't have to do that. Just like I don't have to sell them or I don't have to convince them to make decisions. I don't want to manipulate them to get less for their car. I want them to want less for their car. And that's the best way to arrive at this point. So stay silent, make your way all the way to the trunk, open the trunk. Usually trunks are pretty bad. Open the trunk, check out if there is a spare tire, look for stuff in the trunk. Go underneath the car, look under the trunk, and now work your way on the driver's side. And again, every scratch, every dent, open the driver door, wipe the entire dash with your hand. Look at your hand. It's dirty. It's horrible. If you have that, if you're not disgusted by that, I used to do that with some cars. Some cars I wouldn't do it, and just the steering wheel usually will have some wear and tear. The car will have visible wear and tear on the inside. You have to also acknowledge that silently, just by touching it, just by feeling it, and let the buyer comment on it. So all these comments are great. All these comments are awesome. The vehicle needs to be reconditioned. Obviously, the vehicle needs to be reconditioned. This becomes a little bit more challenging when the car is in pristine condition. In pristine condition, then it becomes a matter of mileage. It becomes a matter of color. It becomes a matter of packaging. It becomes a matter of special features. So when it comes down to like exotics and supercars, sometimes the price could be $10,000 just because of a minor detail on a car or color. So you have to be focused more on those minor things when it comes down to pristine vehicles. But every other vehicle will definitely need reconditioning. Everything we touch, everything we felt needs reconditioning. So that gives us the power to educate the buyer. So um, we want to take mental notes of all these deductions so they'll be much easier to deal with at the point of presenting the numbers. Now, what are the reasons why their vehicle is worth less? First reason, one key. If they don't have a second key, that's a $500 expense to the dealer or the next buyer. So we could say that we have a two-key policy for used cars, that we will have to invest the money for key, and that's why we deduct that amount. The second thing is age. If the vehicle is older than 7 years, it will be extremely difficult to get financed. So there's only three banks that I know would finance vehicles over 7 years, and they're usually prime banks. So if you have bad credit, there might be a bank that will finance you, but it will be very, very high interest rate. The second thing is miles. Miles, if they're over 75,000 miles, it makes it really hard to retail the vehicle. And we are a retail operation. It's also hard to get financed. So 75,000 mile vehicles are a little bit harder to turn. You also have to educate your buyer on the dips of depreciation. So the first big dip of depreciation is when you leave with the car, when the car switches from being brand new to pre-owned, when you become the owner. The second big shift is the big dip is when you turn 36,000 miles or 3 years, whichever comes first. So now your manufacturer bumper to bumper warranty is no longer um, available. The third one is 50,000 miles. That's when the big maintenance is coming. At 50,000 miles, you're doing the majority of the maintenance at that point, brakes and stuff. 75,000 miles, there's long-term maintenance, a lot of timing belts and things like that. 100,000 miles is the biggest dip because it's a psychological dip. You hit six figures. A lot of buyers get scared about vehicles over 100,000 miles. 130,000 miles has another cross where most people that buy vehicles over 100,000 miles are comfortable between 100 and 130, but 130 something happens, and then 150, and obviously 200,000 is a big dip. 300,000 is museum worthy. So you want to keep people aware that mileage makes a huge difference in the value of their vehicle. Another thing is color. We went over that. Whether or not it was used for Uber or Lyft or Uber Eats, that makes it a commercial vehicle now. That's a yellow cap as far as we're concerned. Even if it was used for Uber only for a month, it has been used for commercial use, and we have to acknowledge that. If I think of something else, of course, I will share it to you. But those are some ways. Reconditioning, any type of uh, wear and tear is unacceptable. So we have to charge for that. Basically, we have to recondition it, and we also take a massive risk factor because the values of cars are going in one direction, down. So if we take the vehicle and we don't sell it in the next 90 days, we have to sell it to the auction. And the auction has a depreciation algorithm, and they would give us that number as soon as we appraise the car, right? So we would go to like a book value of the car, and we would know what the auction would pay for some of these cars because they have an algorithm that we could calculate. And many times dealers would offer that number to the buyer. If the vehicle is unique, if the vehicle is hard to resell, because they're preparing the vehicle for the auction. So they'll give it a chance. They will give it a chance on the lot, and if it doesn't sell, they will have to ship it to the auction. So especially if it's like a expensive vehicle, European vehicle, a lot of dealers would sell these vehicles to the auction right away because they don't want to take a risk. And the buyer receives the number that the auction would pay 3 months from now because the auction doesn't negotiate. So that's what the buyer receives, probably minus $500 for transportation. That's something you have to explain to the buyer as well, because if they sit on the car for 3 months, they probably would be in worse situation because they can't just ship it to the auction, and they will have to, if they don't have a buyer, they will be forced to sell it to a dealer 3 months later, or CarMax, and now the dealer is going to give them another number that's 3 months later that the auction will pay minus $500 for transportation. So now you understand why these numbers are lower. It's not the used car manager trying to hit you on your deal. It's not that, but it's just so many factors are in place here, and the buyer needs to be educated. So if you let the buyer sell you on their car, you overpay. If you stay silent, gather the facts, and educate with transparency, you buy it like a pro. And protect your growth without losing the trust. Educate the buyer on the facts. Build interest, because if you build genuine interest, they could never hold it against you. This is a psychological tip. If I'm really interested, if I really like your car, you are not holding it against me while I'm only offering you $1. And we've done this test with some of you. So don't fake it. Obviously, you gotta have genuine interest in the cars. If they see that it's fake, it will be obvious, and you're not gonna do yourself a big favor. So just be genuinely interested in the cars because of your personal motivation, adding vehicles to the inventory, or having actual real wish list. If your friends don't know that you are selling cars, you'll need to have a wish list on Excel spreadsheet, and you need to know what is each one of your friends and family and everybody that you know, what is their wish vehicle. And sometimes that wish vehicle is going to be a quirky one, and it will arrive at your dealership. So it will be a genuine expression of genuine interest. You'll be like, wow, this is exactly what Johnny was describing, like 100,000-mile Honda Element. That's exactly what he wants. Do you mind if I take a picture and send it to Johnny? It's very powerful way to build interest in the car. And as a matter of fact, if you want to use this technique and say, let me take a picture of your car because Velco would be interested in buying this car, I will accept a random picture from a random number at any time, and I would always respond with yes. I share that all over the country, so I get random pictures of cars all over the time, all the time, and like I said, from all over the place, different states, and I always respond with yes, I want it. When can I get it? So with that being said, this is my rant. This is my education for today on silent walkaround. The main takeaways are: don't call it a trade because they think that you're going to give them a wholesale, which is true. You are going to give them a wholesale, but it's just not the first thing you want to address. It's not the first thing you want to start your presentation with. And obviously, all the things that we shared. So I'd like to start a conversation. I want to hear your questions. I want to hear your concerns. I want to hear the problems that you're facing when you are buying trades. And what's your opinion? So I'm going to shut up and listen to your questions and comments and concerns. Go ahead. The floor is yours. Just wanted to add, if you're wondering, what do I educate the buyer on? There's four different things you want to educate the buyer. If you're not taking notes, I want you to take notes right now. The first thing you are educating the buyer on is the difference between emotional and financial value. Every single person has emotional value towards their vehicle, whether it's positive or negative, right? Just like sometimes you wear the same shoes for a little too long, or the same socks, or the same jeans for a little too long because you love them so much. So there's emotional value attached, and we have to be very gentle in the way we educate. Memories don't add dollars to resale. So the nostalgia, the memories with the car is what I'm calling emotional value. So when you're educating the buyer, and let's say they want $10,000 for the car, you're going to start with wholesale auction value 3 months from now, probably the lowest number, 4,000. Then you have sell it yourself. So let's say the lowest number will be actually trading, right? Because you gotta add $500 to that auction. So trading is the lowest number, $500 uh, minus the auction price 3 months from now. Then you have the auction price 3 months from now. Then you have sell it yourself in front of your home. And then you have buying it from the auction. Then you have retail. So those are six different values for the same car, depending on who has the title for it. And emotional value doesn't matter for any of those. The emotional value would be the highest value that's above retail that only you can see. So that's how we need to educate the buyer. The second thing is reconditioning costs. Everything is more expensive right now. Body work, labor cost, everything is more expensive. So reconditioning cost is powerful. We can go with universal third party cost of, you can ask Google or ChatGPT, how much does it cost to paint a bumper? You get like a $500 quote almost all the time. So if there is a scratch, if there is a little ding, if there is a little dent, we paint the bumper. We don't just fix it. We don't just buff it out, right? We prepare the vehicle for retail. So reconditioning costs are big. Before anyone else drives this car, we'll need to change the brakes, we'll need to paint the bumper, we'll need to uh, replace the tires and things like that. So itemize all those things in dollar signs, and you'll get up to the $10,000 that way. So absolutely agree with the buyer. The vehicle is worth $10,000. I agree with you. It's just a matter of who is going to prepare the vehicle for that $10,000 asking price. Would it be you or would it be me? Do I need to actually focus on the um, reconditioning, or you? And educate them on the risk factor. I'm taking all the risk. We can't see what's inside the engine. We can't uh, predict the future. So we're taking all the risk. No warranty from you, warranty from me. The lack of reciprocity between both, because buyers usually really underestimate all the things that are going on after they purchase the car. Do we sometimes get super fortunate and we buy a pristine vehicle for 3 grand and turn around and sell it for 10? Yes, but that's not every car. That's one of 100. The other 99 cars, there's a lot of headaches, and sometimes 20 of them we lose money on. So because of the wrong calls and because of weak salesmanship, because of lack of education. So risk factor is all on the dealer. And finally, speed to market is the final piece. Speed to market. If you're trading in uh, Saturn, most people don't even know what that is. So nobody's looking for Saturns. Nobody wants Saturns. Speed to market. The faster we can resell it, the more money you get for it, the more competitive we can be. But if we can't sell this vehicle because of all of the limitations we have, then we offer you way less because we take all the risk. So I hope this gives you even more perspective. Now I'm desperate to hear from you. Say hi, say something in the chat if you're not watching or listening. I can't see you on the screen, so curious about some questions. Let me know if you have questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to discuss. All right. What about some takeaways? What are some of your favorite takeaways? Is there something that you would use, something that you would implement, something that you would try, something you liked, something you didn't like, something you disagreed, maybe something I can learn from you? Well, in this case, folks, since you are very quiet, um, today's Monday, August 17th. Today is the only opportunity to live Monday, August 17, 2025. Today is the only day that is August 17, 2025. So let's make it count. Let's not be order takers and let's be sales professionals. Make it a great day.